Hush Podcast Network.
I got love for my hood, my hood. I hold it down for my hood, my hood. I got love for my hood, my hood. I hold it down for my hood, my hood.
I was born, be the land of the soldier. Body the way surrounds Polynesian culture. Lava gems when the young skin fade. Catch members on the block trying to make that pay. But now we'll never change a thing. Rolling on the east side, the we ride. Sing a few beats that we sitting by the seaside. What you really know about that? Rolling up the green, you can smell it from my clothes.
What up? Welcome to another episode of That's My Cousin. I'm your host, Haven Walsh, and today I've got helping host me, Bailey. So,
hi.
Today, one of our first guests on That's My Cousin is an underground legend in Otautahi and the NZ hip-hop scene, making big waves with his recently released LP, Stereotypes of a Polynesian Misunderstood. And joining him are Kaiako in many forms, a bassist, producer, and DJ. When it comes down to my take on hip-hop and rap music today, this guy carries a very heavy influence. We got DJ Nazarite, Big Sima in the building.
Yo,
what's
happening?
Welcome.
It's good to be here, bro. I think we talked about this a couple of times, and then when I seen that's your cousin thing, I was like, yo, that's us. Let's get in there.
Yeah, bro.
Even though none of us are formally cousins, right? As far as we know.
As far as we know.
Yeah, so it's cool, man. It's glad to
That's
stick together.
the basis of this whole thing, is just everyone claims everyone's their cousin. So.
That's
Especially
facts,
when
bro.
they're doing big things. Bro.
Yeah, I met heaps of Scribes cousins, bro. Straight up.
Yeah.
Especially in like 2005.
Oh, you know Scribes?
Everyone was related to
course,
Scribe back in the day.
And Sonny Bill and, more recently, The Rock. Yeah. Crack up.
So these are just coming fresh, straight off what was it, 10 gig tour?
10
Summer
day
tour?
Yep.
I see these have just been announced for Electric Avenue too.
Yeah. So we play there next Saturday. Sold out, 35,000.
Wow.
So it's
that's
pretty
fire.
crazy. And then, so going back to the tour thing, we're pretty lucky to get through the whole tour without cancelling any shows. Because as we know, like, there's just so much going on nationally. With the cyclone and just like, just COVID in general as well is still like having quite an impact on the entertainment scene and in the music industry, just in like really small ways. Like, say if Ben gets COVID, we actually can't play, because we don't have a bass player that can stand in. If I get COVID, obviously not, but like there's integral parts of a band that can't go on. And so that's how it's sort of affecting the music industry at the moment. So we were pretty lucky to get through all 10 dates without cancelling any shows, which I was to come out of that at the end for me personally. That's a bit of a win, to be honest.
Yeah, hard.
And not many bands are out there doing 10. Usually people are doing 5s, doing short runs, just because financially it can be a little bit of a struggle. And I know for us, it was just like throwing us in the deep end, and just seeing what happens.
Yeah.
And here we are. We're still alive.
You've made it.
Yeah, came out on the other side, all good.
Yeah. How are you?
Yeah, so like I said with you, Mats, is that, I remember when you were first my teacher at school, and you would always play that music for me and play songs like Most Def Mathematics and, Tribe Called Quest and shit like that, and that helped influence, I think, my hip-hop music. Because I didn't get into hip-hop and rap till I pretty much started college, like year 9. I was always playing, my mum and they would always play R&B and hip-hop and shit, but I wasn't hard out into rap and shit. So you being there helped really influence my sound and how I like my styles of rap that I like.
You see, I feel like the kids I'm teaching now, they need to hear that as well. Because I'm still trying to do that, and I still get kids whinging. They just want to listen to, the same song that they've already listened to like 8 times a day. And it's about trying to broaden people's horizons. But I feel like that's a thing that a lot of DJs in general have in common. Most people who end up being DJs for a long period of time, longer than just a kind of a fad or something they think they want to do, the type of people that, went to parties as teenagers and they stood at the stereo, like, fighting for the aux chord. Because you always think you're the one who knows the perfect song for the moment.
Yeah.
So,
Or
And the
put in your
best
CD,
songs.
Or put in your CD and train slot number 1 on the CD train. You know?
Well, me and my bro Willie, shout outs to
Shout out to
Insomniac.
Willie, yeah.
We used to, during the week, go over to his place. He had turntables and
He had the train trailer, right?
yeah, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
that's
lived
right.
in a train carriage in Littleton.
Oh.
Like,
Oh,
it was a
wow.
sleepout.
Yeah.
And he had those old Technics where, like, instead of having a slider,
Was it like a legal sleep out, or was it just where the very?
Nah, it was
stayed?
illegal as, bro. It was out in Littleton, right?
Yeah.
And it was up on the hill, and it looked like if you looked at the trailer, it was going to fall over the side of the hill. Eh? It's crazy, bro.
Did it have a good view though?
Yeah.
Of
Yeah, no, it
course.
was me.
I don't
It was like
remember.
in 3 sections. So he had so it was like one carriage, and you know how each carriage has 2 seating areas and then a bit in between. So
Yeah.
he had like his studio, and then like the bit in between was like storage, and then the last bit was like his actual bedroom.
Oh, it's just fire.
But he was one of the first people I knew who actually had turntables, because they're so
Yeah,
expensive.
Technics 12, yeah.
Well, no, he had the old Technics with instead of a slider, you had this little dial for the pitch to go up and down. So you'd be trying to mix, and you'd go up, 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 and then it would get too fast.
Oh,
and
it
you'd
was
be
a
slowing
digital
it down
dial,
with
eh?
your finger. No, this like serrated cog
Oh,
basically.
true.
And you used to
Wow.
spin it with your finger. But we used to go and make mixtapes, like actual tapes.
Yeah.
And then, so then you'd be at a party on the weekend, and you'd all have your mixtape that you'd made during the week, and you wanted to play your mixtape. So
Fuck, how times have changed.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
And, like, I always say that, like, being active in a couple of different generations gives you a little bit of an edge, because you understand, like, how crazy it was back then. Like, me and Ben have known each other for 20, how long do you reckon?
20,
22, 21 years. And, like, when I first met him, he was just, like, finishing school. He was, like, in his last year of school, and we actually, like, he talked me into going out and egging his music teacher's house. And I was like, yo, I'm down for that. Yeah, let's do it, man. And we did it with our other bro. Shout out to Mikey. There's so many funny stories from back then, but you should tell the one about the violin.
Oh yeah. So we were parked outside a tire shop.
Yeah, it's a tire shop that was like just outside of people that know Christchurch. Like it's just sort of across the road from the mill, the old
That's
mill.
right.
Yeah, on the corner of, I want to say Cashel and what's the one that goes straight down? Not Barely, but the other one.
Like Salisbury.
No. That one there.
What you can't see is he's
It's
gesturing
Barely,
with his
yeah.
hands, making
What's that
a
one?
map.
What's that one?
Barbados.
No, G, the main one.
Morehouse.
Nah, I go Morehouse. It goes off Morehouse, and it goes straight down.
Oh, Madras.
Oh my god!
It's not Soy's arm. No.
No. Soy's arms and pet.
Oh.
That's crazy.
Anyways.
That's where I'm from.
No, hold up. We need to get this. Bro, okay, so Bailey Ave, right? You go down Bailey Ave, and then you get to the end just before London Street where you used to live.
Fitzgerald.
Fitzgerald, thank you.
There it is.
I was on the like corner of Fitzgerald and Cashel, and there used to be this tyre place. I know that because I recently, in the last couple of years, have bought a battery from there for my car. Okay, crazy. Anyway, carry on.
Yeah, so we were just sitting outside there, just basically you were freestyling. Mikey had a mini disc player.
Bro,
in
we
his
were
car.
smoking and freestyling in the car.
And
I was smoke. You were, because you're a teacher. You should never do that.
And the cops roll up. So someone had seen us sitting out there and thought we were casing the tire place. So the cops come and they're searching the car. And they go to the boot and they find this violin. And he's like, to Mikey, the guy whose car it was, who's a bad man violin player, the cop's like, so where'd you steal this from, boys?
Oh my god.
Because I was in the car. So obviously we stole it, because Christchurch cops as well, especially back then, bro. There was no brown cops back then. There was one, his name was Chris Minnie, and you knew him if you were brown. You're like, oh shit, Chris Minnie's here. It's all right, we're not getting arrested tonight.
And so he's like, where'd you guys steal this from? And so Mikey pulls it out of the case and starts playing River Dance.
Like, perfectly.
while doing a jig around these two cops. Was it two of them?
Yeah, it was two of them, a female one and a male one.
Right.
Oh my god.
And yeah, they let us go, but yeah, barsy times. So yeah, I met that's around the time that me and Ben started hanging out, Our first ever crew was called Extracurricular. And I think we called it Extracurricular because you were still at school. Yeah.
It was my extracurricular
Activity. Yeah. And the first song, we actually recorded a song at Willie's train and his train trailer, eh?
Yeah. Bro, and that beat, I don't know if you remember, but that beat had this Wes Montgomery sample
Yes,
in it.
it did. Yeah.
And like, I don't know, maybe 5 years later or something, Madlib made a beat with the exact same lick. And I tell everybody that and nobody believes me.
Yeah, because you'll never find that song ever again. Thank God. Never sees the light of day ever again. But yeah, so yeah, it was crazy times back then, man. Like Christchurch was buzzing. We went on and did like, you know, we used to have our own night at a nightclub in town and we're only like, you know, 18, 19, 20 or whatever.
I think we got paid in beer.
Yeah, we got paid in beer. Everyone got paid in beer back then.
I rode my bike there.
Yeah.
With a crate, with a crate of records.
Every Sunday night, and she said, let us have the run of the joint, and people used to come down and freestyle. And that's how we met all our mates that were rhymers in Christchurch back then, which was a crazy time to be in Christchurch, bro. And then, you know what happened after that? 8 Mile.
Yeah.
And as soon as 8 Mile hit, it was like everyone went to see it at the movies, and then we came out and we're like, bro, let's go do a freestyle battle right now. And then that was it, bro. The freestyle battle boom started.
Yeah.
And then me and Ben started driving to different freestyle battles in the South Island just so I could win the prize money.
Yeah.
So we'd just roll up we went to so many different ones, and we'd just drive all the way there, spend all our money to get there, and then be like, you better win, bro. Otherwise, you're going to have no money. And I'd go in there, win, get the bar tab, get the cash. Sometimes like $500-600, you know, and just like, we'd just spend the money on piss and other stuff. Petrol. Yeah, that's it.
That's some
Get you home.
Yeah.
That was
Petrol
actually,
was only like probably $1.10 back then.
and then we really cracked it when we started getting a set. Like we'd have a set that we'd do at the end of the battle while the judges were deliberating or whatever, and it was like a 30-minute set for $50.
Yeah.
Between us.
Yeah.
$50 between
That's
us.
when
Wow.
we really hit the big time.
Yeah.
We're like, bro, we're actually can you believe we're getting paid for this?
Bro, and it was actually the source of one of my early embarrassments as a DJ. Was I had this Triumph. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
I
I
had
remember
this
the Triumph,
12-inch of Wu-Tang's Triumph,
Yeah.
and the sticker was on the wrong side.
Yeah.
So like the sticker on the side that had the instrumental and the a cappella, and then the other side had like the raw edit and the radio edit. And I forgot this one night that the sticker was back to front, and he's supposed to do a tune over the Triumph beat, but I dropped the vocal, so he started rapping.
Was that
right
Carbon?
as
I'll never forget it.
Right as no, that was Dunedin.
Was it Dunedin?
It was Dunedin
Oh,
because I remember
bro.
Q Jigger was there, man.
Oh, that's right.
And yeah,
And
it
I was like, yo, and then it was like, a big torch flaming with my face. I was like, bro, what did you do, man? It was crazy. But I was probably too drunk to really care that much, to be honest. A lot of like the early times in hip hop in Christchurch were very, very much fueled by alcohol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not so much drugs, but alcohol. Definitely.
Yeah.
Drugs came later.
Yeah.
But the alcohol, definitely, man. Like, everyone was just full-blown alcoholics, eh? I think we used to go to the club, like, when I was living down London Street, we used to go to the club, like, 4 nights a week.
and you couldn't even say functioning alcoholics because people are like, what do you do as a job? Oh, yo, I'm a DJ.
Yeah. I get
much
paid
do you
$50
make?
a week and heaps of beers.
Yeah. And if you're only making that much, you want to make the most of what you're getting, which is the alcohol.
Anytime anybody handed you money in return for your services, it was like such a big deal. Yeah. And I think, do you remember that time we played Destination? There used to be this festival called Destination. Where was it?
Castle Hill.
Yeah, it was in Castle Hill. And there was this guy, Derek. Shout out to Derek. They used to run Destination.
Derek's the man.
They used to run it at a loss, like big time. They'd lose money every year. And I could just remember this one time we went up to his house and we had this grand scheme to ask for the money that was supposed to be paid. We went up there and we're like, so, bro, is there any chance that we can get paid? And he's like, guys, we didn't make any money, man. So we'll be in touch with you if we can pay you. And I just remember that moment just being like, what are we doing? Like, there's no way anyone's getting paid.
You know when
I
he's
think
saying
some
that
people got paid.
He's gonna be in touch with you. He's
He's not cool. He's not calling you.
There's no like, you know, feeling stink about it or anything. It was just like, that's a rite of passage.
Yeah.
Just getting the opportunity to play someone going to you and we'll pay you $100 as well. And then you go to, you know, get paid and then they're like, oh, there's no money. And you're like, okay, all good. So yeah, but those days were crazy. You had like Trinity Roots, flipping Fat Freddy's, bloody I'm on Star, Tiki was probably there somewhere in the mix.
Well, actually, when we caught up with Tiki at Summer Sounds, I was actually reminiscing with him about when I was like 14. I used to help him set up, like carry in the speaker box, cable up the PA for like free tickets to some and other dub gigs.
Yeah.
But I think that was one of the cool things about Christchurch music scene is probably because it's such a small town. You'd bump into people just at the record store or whatever, and having people like him who basically who had already cracked it, especially from our perspective back then, who were willing to say, yeah, you know what, if you come and just be a roadie to like a teenage kid, like come and help plug in the PA and you can come to the show for free. It's those type of things that you carry with you,
and they give you momentum, mate, to keep going. And it's like, oh shit. Yeah.
And you're actually learning skills as well, because you're learning about how things work and getting to go to the show, which you otherwise, probably couldn't afford to go to or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that's still probably a bit of a, I don't know if it counts as a paradox, but within the music scene is that like you still struggle in a lot of places to get people to either buy tickets or pay to get in somewhere. Yep. But at the same time, they'll walk into a pub and have no qualms about dropping $14 on a pint or whatever.
Yeah. It is a paradox. But also, I think going back to what you're saying about that whole thing in Christchurch is that like, and Christchurch is much different to a lot of the other big cities where everything's kind of like spread out in like Wellington and Auckland. And Christchurch is like the central hub, which is like the CDHB, and then like back then it was like High Street where all the record stores were, and then like going through Cashel Mall, and then like Litchfield was where the youth centre was, and then like everything was so centralised that you just run into anyone at any given time, and that's what made it kind of cool. And so the music community in Christchurch has always had a lot more there's been a lot more of a cultural vibe in terms of us having an actual culture, whereas when you go to Auckland it's like it's so spread out and weird, and people are like, I represent East Auckland, I represent West Auckland, I'm from South Auckland, So it's always been a lot different to how it is in Christchurch, and I think that's been our,
There was a period of time where basically everything, well not everything, but almost everything Christchurch hip hop was going down at YCD.
Yeah, literally
on Litchfield
bro.
Street, and it was like you could go there, and I used to go there and pay $2 to pause for a DJ lesson. For half an hour or whatever. There'd be B-boys practicing and people writing rhymes and, people working on graph art and stuff.
I used to catch the bus with a lady every Wednesday and we'd go to this hip hop class at YCD, and she'd just always be on my bus, the Shirley bus, because I was coming from Maireho, and we'd just like all hang together. There's two places that a lot of like really famous artists, or not famous, but really like successful artists went to. It was Harlequin House, which was a music course with, it escapes me at the moment, but there was this music course there, and DJ Ali, I don't know if you heard of DJ Ali, but his dad, Hicks, used to run it, and that was the first time I ever like got into a recording setup, and, everyone's done that course, like Lady's done that course, Scribble's done that course, literally everyone, same as literally everyone's been through YCD as well. And without those places, we probably wouldn't be here. Like we used to do all our early gigs at YCD, When I was working there, me and Richie were working there. Richie went on to be DJ Vinyl Richie on What Now, know?
Yeah.
Like, he's the guy who taught me all about hip hop, bro.
Yeah.
When I started as a B-boy, I was like, oh, what's that? And he's like, oh, this, Sugar Hill Gang, Rapper's Delight. And I was like, oh, that's crazy. And I listened to it. I went and bought the CD. Cost me all my like money that I've made off working for my uncle and that, and then went home and I started this education of hip hop, and he's like, nah, that's whack, that's cool though, that's whack, that's cool, bro. Yeah. And I got this D&D CD, like Carrius One, and like what's his name, not Roots Maneuver, anyway, I'm forgetting names anyway. But yeah, so without those places, I guess that's what we're trying to say, that's sort of where we met, where we started hanging out, doing our early gigs together. That's where we got our education from, was from YCD. So when you see like things like the Hip Hop Summit and you see YCD behind it, that's why there's such a strong foundation for what they're doing with the Hip Hop Summit, is because of YCD, pretty much, because it's well respected in those corners.
Because with me growing up here in like Blenheim, we didn't have like an outreach of what was going on around the rest of the country.
Did you even have like a youth thing?
We had a youth group, but it wasn't nothing like that.
Was it like a church-based
It was
one?
a church-based one.
Oh, yeah.
So it was more like you can go hang out there with the kids.
Yeah, and then whilst there's some
Hang
guy
out
in the
with
corner
girls.
going, so Matthew 13, 11, nah. All those ones.
Yeah, break that shit down for you.
So we'll be seeing you at church on Sunday, Haven?
Yeah.
Oh, so you're enjoying our sausage sizzle?
Just one each.
Yeah, just one each, guys, and one glass of fizzy, you know? Yeah. Unless you're coming to Sunday school, in which case you can have two.
Yeah, it wasn't until I started like listening to DJ Severe's podcast about Aotearoa hip hop.
Oh, true.
That I started realizing how deep the Christchurch music scene
Oh,
was.
so you listen to the Christchurch one?
Yeah, I listened to all of them, bro.
Yeah.
I binged
Good,
it.
Yeah.
And guys like when True Nelly comes through, because I hang out with True Nelly, when he gives me game about how it was back then. And
Let me tell you something about that guy. If anyone knows about Christchurch hip hop, is Dale, bro, because he used to buy mixtapes off me back when we used to slam them for $10. Yeah. I remember I was walking through Barrington Street one time. This is one of the earliest memories I have from him. And he's like walking across the road and he goes, bro, and I used to be called Charisma back then. And he's like, Charisma, bro. And he like ran across the road and he's like, bro, you got any mixtapes for sale? And I was like, just outside my house. And I went in and grabbed a couple and he bought them off me. Like, tribute to that dude, bro. Like, yeah, he's one of the guys who he could be an historian when it comes to Christchurch hip hop.
Yeah, because I can sit there and just
even
listen
New Zealand
to him go. He'll just go and go, and I can just sit there and listen to him, bro. So it's
I mean, he hasn't experienced a lot. He like the difference between say me and him is like he's been there from an outsider's perspective.
Yeah.
Whereas like I've probably like been at a lot of those things that he's but he knows his stuff, bro. Especially around like releases and stuff like that. And he can rap his ass off too. He's dope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So back when you were Charisma, you also had a show on Māori TV.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Tūhono.
Yeah, Tūhono, yeah.
You had that with the crew. How did that kick off?
So what happens is I was working at YCD with Richie, because Richie was also on the show too. That's how he sort of got his shot on Māori TV. And this lady got in touch with him and she was like, you know, we want to do this urban hip-hop magazine show and we want to launch it on Māori TV when it first comes out, because Māori TV hadn't actually started yet.
Yeah.
So it was in its very early stages. And it was me, him, and Orbs from Tahu FM, from shout out to Orbs. And basically they wanted us to come in and be advisors or consultants, right? So they wanted to make sure that they were doing right by the culture. So they needed 3 people that knew enough about it to be able to come in and consult, you know?
Yeah.
And so we went in, we had these meetings and that, they were good. We got paid for them, which was amazing. Because we're like, oh shit, they're actually like, they'd give us an envelope every time we go. It had like $150 in it. And you're like, oh, yo, straight to the pokies after this.
Double it.
Actual. Yeah, straight to the flipping pyramids, my bro. Anyway, and so it was cool, you know, like I think we went to like 4 in a row and then the last one, they're like, oh, so we've got a guest joining us today in this meeting. We hope you don't mind, but my husband's going to join us. And I was like, oh, who's your husband? This is this lady, Janine. And then Jason Gunn walks in, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, bro, it's Jason Gunn. I was like, yeah, that's crazy.
Bro, he's a big deal back
and he's like, how's it going, guys? He's just like fills the room up with his personality straight away. And so he just like, there's something about Jace that like he talked to, when he talked to me and I talked to him, he brought my personality out, you know?
Yeah.
And he was like, you know, he was bringing my, you know, back then I was like, pretty laid back, but just trying to be cool, because I didn't really know myself that well, you know, but I was just always trying to be cool, but I'm really this full of life person, you know? Yeah. And Jace, he could bring out that in you, like that. He would do the same to anyone pretty much. And he goes to me, hey, have you thought about, cause they already had 2 presenters and they're like, he's like, have you thought about, auditioning to be a presenter? And I was like, nah, I wouldn't be down for that. And he goes, come on, man, come downstairs with me and let's do an audition. So he drags me downstairs. We're in the middle of this like consultancy meeting or whatever. And we're going over all the scripts and we're going over all the budget, everything. And he takes me downstairs and he puts me in front of a camera and he goes, this is what I want you to say. And he's like, I just want you to, introduce the show. And then I want you to throw to, another, like, you know, like a video or whatever. Yeah. And I was like, oh shit, I was so out, but I'd already done a little bit of radio, but the radio that we did was like super laid back. It was like freestyle shit, you know? Yeah. So I don't know. I felt confident at the time. He made me feel confident. So I did it, killed it. And then 2 days later, he rang me and he goes, do you want to be a presenter? This is how much we're going to pay you. And the amount of money that they paid us was like astronomical compared to what I was getting paid as a youth worker. Yeah. I think I was getting paid like $330 a week as a youth worker. And they were like, we'll pay you $1,000 a week. And I was like, damn. I was like, yo, that's crazy. So getting paid 50 grand back then, it was crazy. Like holiday pay, everything. It was insane. And I was like, and I just had to do this shit on TV. This is so easy. What the heck? So I took the job, and it was me, Sister Waitoa, Cherie Waitoa, who was she still works for Tahu FM now, I'm pretty sure. And she worked for Tahu FM then. She was the breakfast host with Ra. And then Comical as well, my other bro. And so he did the Gritty Antics show, which I used to do with him sometimes on Tahu FM as well. So 3 radio cats doing this new TV show that was getting rolled out. And at the start, it was like, right, we're just going to get ready for this pilot episode. And then when I seen what actually went into the show, I was just freaked out. I was like, oh, shit, man, I'm not going to be good at this. This is crazy. And then they're like, oh, and then we had this meeting one day, and I'll never forget it. We're all sitting in this room, and they're like, so I've got some great news for you guys. I know that we said the show was going to be pre-recorded, but
it's going to be live.
It's going to be live. I was like, oh, this is why y'all paying me $1,000 a week. I was like, oh my God. So, luckily the pilot episode wasn't live, but every episode for 3 seasons after that was live, bro. Live TV on a Saturday night. So it was like getting thrown in the deep end, but I flourished, bro. I flourished.
Yeah.
I can't remember a lot of it because we spent a lot of time partying, man, to be honest, like especially me and Commie. And I do have some VHS at home, which no one will ever see. It's locked away. Nah, doing it was amazing, bro. Like we got to interview back then. We got to interview pretty much everyone, bro. Yeah. The only cats that wouldn't let us interview was like David Dallas and PNC and P Money in there. Yeah, I did interview P Money once, but they were like a little bit too cool for us, which was fine. Like back then, it was hard to understand that like a show like that should come out of the South Island. Yeah, and I think there was a lot of like, are you guys trying to be like My Time or like Holler Hour? But Phil had his own thing, and like me and him, we weren't really getting along back then either. You know, we didn't like each other, and now we're like, close as homies. But like back then, we didn't get on very well. So there's a lot of give and take coming from the culture, but we put everyone on, Break and Wreck, fucking you name it, bro. If you're like a rapper or MC, singer, DJ, we had everyone on the show, bro. Because I was so in tune with the culture, I was like, we have to have these guys, or we have to have these guys, And I think that's something that really got taken for granted by the culture. Like if we had that show now, like it would be such an amazing platform for young artists to be able to come in and do their thing, and get put on nationwide TV. You know, back then it was like, I feel like back then people just didn't really accept it because it didn't come from the North Island. Yeah, if I'm being honest. Yeah, hip hop and Te Waipounam was like we've always been an oppressed genre of music, I feel. Yeah. An oppressed, like, community of artists. We always get everything last, to be honest. If you ain't living in Auckland, then, they don't really want to know you as an artist in general, in any genre. But if you live in Christchurch or you're in the South Island and you're a hip-hop artist, you're, like, right at the bottom of the list, bro. Yeah. Like, big time. So,
which is crazy because our probably most famous NZ artist came from Christchurch.
Yeah, but he wasn't in Christchurch when he recorded the Crusader. He was in Auckland. And he probably spent a lot of time in Auckland during that process. Time. Yeah, especially during his fame and that. I think he spent like quite a lot of time up there. And that's why the old saying goes, you can't make it out of Christchurch. But it's horseshit, bro. Yeah. Straight up. It's horseshit. It's just a narrative made up by it's a false narrative and a really outdated one as well. Like the music industry as a whole, bro, it's an even playing field now. Yeah. Like anyone can crack it from anywhere because everything's so universal. It's like streaming has brought everyone together and it's made it so the record labels can't dominate too much. But I could tell you in ways that they do, but these days it's just like whoever puts in the most work gets the most, modi mahi modi order. Yeah.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. So who were some early inspirations for you guys like coming up?
I think for me, like the kind of pivotal moment for me was actually seeing the music video for I Left My Wallet in El Segundo.
Yeah.
And I think it was Nathan Rarere played that on Ice TV or something when I was a kid. And I was just like,
yeah,
and I was just like, whoa, this is so different to everything else that I'd kind of been exposed to hip hop wise at that age. Also, I think my first cassette tape that I bought when I was a kid was like TLC, Creep.
What's a Creep?
The
I remember the cover. Yeah,
I got it from Kasingle, like out of the dollar bin.
Yeah.
But yeah, hearing that Tribe song and seeing that music video, I just really kind of, and from there I got into De La Soul as well, and then just kind of expanded out from there. So, and then of course a little bit later, but when that Mos Def album that you were talking about before, when Black on Both Sides came out, I bought the double LP of that and just thrashed that so hard, like
easy to thrash to it.
Oh, now I still listen to it like from start to finish. Same with that Reflection Eternal album and the Black Star album, obviously as well. Like those three kind of, when they came out, like by then I think I would have thrashed the whole Tribe discography pretty hard, and when that all that Raucous Records,
Sound Bombing,
when all those were coming out, I think that was just what, and then from there I think also a lot of I started discovering a lot of the like neo soul stuff like Erykah Badu and Jill Scott, and hearing all that stuff back then as well. But you know, Mum always had a good music collection as well. Like Mum was really into Prince.
Yeah, Mum loves Prince, eh?
Yeah. So, and David Bowie and stuff like that. But Mum had a lot of vinyl, so I think I've always kind of had this fascination with vinyl from when I was a kid. She had this mean-ass Jimi Hendrix box set with like this etching of his face on the cover, and I remember thrashing that. But
I remember Mum had Michael Jackson History.
Oh, yeah.
LP. And she had that with the tape as well, and she had a special edition, and I always used to jam that.
Did your mum go to the history tour?
Yeah.
I don't know if
someone I know went to the history tour.
So there's a bit of controversy with my mum, like, because she went to a concert while she was pregnant with me, but she can't remember if it was Michael Jackson History or Rolling Stones back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. True. I was either at one of those concerts.
Bumping around.
My daughter was at De La Soul at the Bedford.
Bedford.
The Bedford in Utero.
I think Pete put that on.
Oh, yeah.
Pete Wilson, yeah. True, that's crack up ass.
Yeah, because I remember Sarah was probably was reasonably pregnant at that point. You know, at the point where you're real uncomfortable about people banging into you. Yeah.
Papa Levi will know when it was. Shout out Papa Levi. Influences. Are you finished?
Actually, I will say one thing. You know how those top 5 MC things always come up on Facebook? I never do any of them.
Yeah.
But I was actually talking to Sarah about it before, and I was like, you know what? I think I've come to a comfortable place.
Ooh, let me hear it.
And it's favourites. It's not like that. No, I'm not saying greatest of all time. I don't want to get into that.
Favourite.
It should always be favourites, like a point of reference, like a just an opinion.
Yeah, well, music's so subjective.
Exclusive to That's My Cousin.
Bro, I've never heard this before.
The only other people who have heard this are Sarah and maybe the closest tables at Slam Club because I get excited. But okay, Q-Tip, right? Mos Def, yeah. At this point, you're not surprised at all, right? Nas, okay. I think Biggie, and this last one I think is the curveball. This is favourites. Don't pull that face.
Stu May.
No. Oh. I think it's Redman.
Oh,
I was actually thinking about it before, and I was like, those Muddy Waters,
I was going to say Muddy Waters,
very underrated.
Dare is a Dark Side. Those three albums, man.
Bro, Dare is a Dark Side is an all-time classic, bro. Slept on heavy though.
I'm pretty sure you played all those artists for us while we were in class. Dude.
Yeah, wet lunchtimes in the funny. Yeah.
Have NBA playing on the screen and then music in the background.
That's your education, bro.
Yeah.
That's what's up, though. That's what's up. That's funny. I've never heard you say a top 5 ever. That's crazy.
No, I generally avoid it, but for some reason it popped into my head today.
I recently said my top 5 on a podcast.
Oh, yeah.
And, I knew I was going to get a bit of stick for it. Fair to say, I got a few messages afterwards because I had a certain someone in my top 5. You know what my top 5 is, eh?
I remember.
Let us know.
No order. It's Black Thought.
Yeah.
Royce 5'9", Puck. I can't say it. No, I don't care. Drake and Eminem.
And Drake is where you got the controversy.
Yeah, hell yeah. My bro messaged me. He's like a full purist, and he's like, bro, what the F? I was like, well, bro, you haven't listened to enough Drake. That's why you don't know.
Right, but that's the thing. Like, even with the Eminem thing, like, I mean, obviously he's like uber talented, but I just like can't see myself sitting down and just being like, you know what? I'm going to listen to some Eminem albums back to back.
Yeah, but we have a different foundation of like discovery for hip hop. You know, ours is so different.
Yeah, I did when the Marshall Mathers album came out. I did listen to that a lot, but yeah,
I think I listened to Eminem more in my younger days, so that's why I can't do it as much now.
Yeah.
I think, and as he's gone on with the times, I just can't get into him as much anymore as what I used to, because he was like the first rapper
he's got the greatest.
I listened to, because he was.
He's easily got the greatest guest verses of all time, though, right? Like Lil Wayne, No Love, Flippin' Forever with Drake. Those verses are crazy, bro. Even like all the G Unit ones. Patiently waiting. I've been patiently waiting to make it through all the hating, debating whether or not you can even weather the storm. That shit's crazy, bro. Talking about the Twin Towers and shit. But yeah, so that's my top 5. Anyway, I live with it. It's all good.
I kind of like base mine on, like, if I could only listen to 5 artists for the rest of my life, their discography or something, who would it actually be?
Yeah.
But then you said Doom, and now I'm already questioning.
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't have Doom in there, bro. Straight up.
Already having regrets.
Because like for instance, if you said I could never listen to that Mad Villainy album ever again, I'd be very, very upset.
That's why I kind of like, I don't want to have to critique your top 5, but I feel like
but I will,
based on what I listen to, because I listen to all the artists that I listen to quite frequently, like whenever I'm driving, like all the USB things that I have in my car, I follow those artists. But I never heard you listen to Redman once.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah,
but I mean, it's kind of like what you're talking about, though. There's just so much, like, it's so easy to access quality music these days. Like, there's just an overwhelming amount of quality music. I've been going through an Odyssey obsession lately.
Odyssey's dope. But now you're going to go off on a tangent and start talking about like artists that no one's ever heard of.
Googling right now.
Bro, to be honest, like early influences for me, because my brother was into surfing and that. So before I even found hip hop, we were listening to like Seattle grunge, so like Nirvana, like
Jam,
all that sort of shit, and even like Oasis and that.
Yeah.
Like I really dug Oasis for like doing songs like diss tracks.
Yeah.
Like Don't Look Back in Anger and like Wonderwall and all that.
Massive hate for Phil Collins.
Yeah, bro.
He was everywhere.
Yeah. And like Kurt Cobain, obviously, like as a songwriter and just as a person that never wanted to be famous, he was like an anti-hero, you know? Like he never wanted to be famous, but then they just got, thrown into this massive, like, massive amounts of fame. And like, then it just ultimately was the destruction of him.
Yeah.
And I feel like as far as a tortured artist goes, he was like and to be honest, for a long period of time when I was like fucking out the gate on drugs and shit, I was like very much a very tortured artist, you know?
Yeah.
And, so I was pretty heavily inspired by that early rock, early fucking grunge and shit like that.
That whole grunge scene, there was a lot of tortured artists in there. Lane Staley's another one who was Alice in Chains.
Alice in Chains, yeah, hell yeah. And just growing up around my brother, it wasn't until he started getting into rap music, the first ever sort of like rap CD that he bought was Big Pun's album, Capital Punishment. Yep. And so like Still Not a Player and all that, like that was heavy. He used to sit down and write all the lyrics out. So then I was like, oh, I could do that too. And then we just ran out of shit to write. So we'd sit there and we'd do the old record stop on the radio. Yeah. But then they only played like charting stuff. So then to go even deeper, we used to go into like Roundabout Records and Echo Records and that. And we used to sit there with our pen and our pad and we used to like quickly try to write a verse out. Like stop. Before they come and go, hey, excuse me, you can't do that. And then one of my bros started stealing the inlays to the CDs, and then it would go to a thing and he'll print it out for all the boys. And so the first ever rap CD single that I bought was Stakes is High, De La Soul. And the reason why I bought it was because it had an instrumental on the B-side. So we used to like sit there and try to freestyle to the instrumental crap as. The second one I bought after that was MC Light, Cold Rocker Party. And then after that it was You Belong to the City by Jay-Z. And then I'll never forget, one morning I left all my tapes at my bro's house, at my bro Palima's house. And I was like, needed to find something. I just like got new batteries for my Walkman and I was biking to school and I went into my brother's sleep out and I like looked through all these tapes and I was like, nah, sick of that. And then I found this one and it was just like a dark tape that had like masking tape around the top of it. And then I was like, oh, I wonder what the fuck this is. But it was rewound right to the start. And I was like, crazy. And I put it on my Walkman, boom, jumped on my bike and I pressed play and all I heard was this train. And I was like,
I know where this
I was
is
like,
going.
oh shit, what this is crazy. And then boom, first song comes on and it was Illmatic by Nas.
Yeah.
And that was it, bro. That was it for me. I was like, man, I'm going to rap. Definitely. I want to sound like this guy, you know?
So you know what the masking tape was for?
Yeah, it's to stop people from taping over it, eh?
No, it's the opposite. It's because like, you used to, because I remember when you'd run out of blank tapes, you can't tape over a bought tape because it's got these two little bits of plastic
that's
punched
right.
out of the top.
Yes. Yeah.
But if you put a bit of tape over the
you
top
can
of
record
the,
over top of it, eh? Yeah, that's right. And so that's the first time I heard Illmatic. And I'll never forget that I came home and my brother had been seeing this chick that went to Villa Maria or some shit. And her brother was...
There's a Red Hot Chili Peppers song about that.
What? Oh. And her brother was a big hip hop head, and he had given my brother this tape and said, "You want to hear some real hip hop? Listen to this shit." And my brother had listened to it, and he'd been going home to listen to it. And he couldn't find it anywhere, and I was like, I lied to him for 3 days before I could get a blank tape and dub it. So I finally got this blank tape, dubbed it, and then I go, "I found your tape," and he goes, "You know," got real angry at me. But then after that, it was because I never got into Wu-Tang until Wu-Tang Forever.
Same.
And then that was it. I remember I was in Auckland and I was staying with my auntie up there. And it was it would have been like 1999. When did Wu-Tang Forever come out? 98, 99, eh?
99?
Maybe. Here, you carry on. I'll fact check it.
Yeah, fact check it.
Google.
Anyway, I bought the CD when I was in Auckland. My auntie used to always like shout me things and she'd be like, "What do you want to buy some shoes?" And I'd be like, "I just really want the CD." So I went and bought the CD. I went home and I wrote out all the lyrics to like It's Yours, flipping, what were we talking about before?
Whoa, it's way earlier, 97.
Oh, 97, there you go. What was the other one you were talking about before? The Wu-Tang song.
Oh, Triumph.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, because it's track one on the second LP
about
or something.
Socrates, Socrates' philosophies and hypotheses can't define you. I'll be dropping these mockery. I sit down and wrote out all the lyrics, bro, over a whole weekend to that song, just to that song, because it's like, what, 9 verses, eh? Yeah. And that was it for me, bro. I figured out how to write rhymes, but I was still like writing across the page, you know?
Yeah.
And I was still a b-boy at the time too, in 97, 98. It would have been like 98, 99, I think, when I got it. And then, the first time that I ever rapped on stage was at the 2000 Hip Hop Summit. And it was during this open mic thing that they had on the Saturday night, I feel it was. And they invited all these MCs to get up. So like Scribe, back in the early Scribe days, everyone was getting up, Lady Six, etc. Who else would have been around back then? Like my record, like this is when Decepticons first came to Christchurch ever. They first ever left out of South Auckland to go somewhere. And in the first ever Hip Hop Summer in 2000, Brother D brought all the Dawn Raid down to Christchurch, and it was like
wait, so that
crazy.
one at the Lumiere, was that 2000?
Yeah, it was 2000, bro. Yeah, first ever Hip Hop Summit that Phil and Ali put on.
That was where I first got introduced to the Far Side. One night they played
movie?
the Sideways movie.
Yeah, the Sideways movie, yeah.
I didn't even know who the Far Side were. I just went to it because it was part of the summit and it was,
At Lumiere Theatre, eh? Yeah, it was crazy. So during the first Hip Hop Summit, Four Corners, Decepticons, early Beats and Pieces, which was like Scribe Ali, Pause, Danger, Gravity, Craig Chalmers.
Oh, yeah.
That was their crew back then. So it was them, Early P Money, DJ CXL, flipping everyone, bro. And no one had cracked it. Yeah. So everyone was still underground, right? But everyone came to Christchurch for the Hip Hop Summit. And then in the years preceding that, after that, people one by one started to crack it. So Dawn Raid started to crack it, flipping. And then 2003, is that when The Crusader came out?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, 2003, that's when, boom, everything changed.
Yeah.
Because that's when Scribe flipping took off. and nobody can, like, unless you're around back then, it's hard to describe his fanfare.
Yeah.
It was like so insane. Like, I remember when I did the hookup tour, the Boost Mobile hookup tour. So there was this, I don't know if you heard about this, but there was this, Telecom had this, do you remember Boost Mobile? So Telecom had this, they launched this campaign which was like just telecom products, but it was called Boost Mobile, right?
Yeah.
And it was like, Boost Mobile, it's the biggest thing coming to, New Zealand. And it was like flip top phones and then like other phones with like torches on them.
It was very much the product of like a group of marketing people that got together and said something like, right, we need a youth strategy.
Yes, it was. It was very much aimed at youth. The phones had like snake and that on them, it was super crazy. And so they decided that their marketing angle would be to put together this tour, right? And it was all the best hip hop artists in the country, all on one bus, traveling around different places in New Zealand. They must have done I feel like they did 14 stops or something.
Crazy.
It was like, and I did the South Island, so it was Christchurch, Dunedin. Actually, we even did
Invercargill,
yeah. Christchurch, Dunedin, Invercargill, Nelson. I don't think it was in Blenheim.
No, it wouldn't have been.
Yeah, there was a few anyway. And
Haven wasn't even around yet.
yeah, I don't think you weren't even born, right? How old are you?
96, I was born.
Bruh, that's crazy. Yeah, you would have been like 5 years old. So it was super crazy. The fanfare was massive, bro. Every show was sold out.
Yeah.
I'm going to say the reason why every show was sold out was because of Scribe.
Yeah.
He could have done the whole tour by himself and still sold out. People were definitely coming to see other artists.
Severe was
But this guy didn't even go on the bus. But he didn't even go on the bus. He had his own thing, Scribble.
Right.
He didn't go on the bus, and then he had his own dressing room, and that everyone else was sort of thrown into the sub-dressing. He was so famous, bro. It was ridiculous. And so I did the first 4 shows. The most embarrassing thing happened to me ever, and I'll never forget it. And I'm going to say Invercargill. And Invercargill, do you remember Hone? DJ Hone?
Mm.
Yeah, so Hone was my DJ. So me and him drove around together. I remember I went and got a loan from the bank so I could pay for myself to go on this tour. Yeah. They gave me like a $500 loan or something like that, which was cool. They gave me an overdraft or something because I didn't have no money. They weren't paying for anything.
Yeah.
Brother D was like, if you want to come on this tour, you're not getting paid and you got to pay for everything yourself, but you might get some free piss at the after party. And I was like, yo, sweet, I'm on. Gee, we on. And so I went around these tours and that. We got to Invercargill, and by that time I'd lost my voice completely because the sound would have been so shit, bro. And like the mixing of my tracks would have been so crap that I would have been just struggling for every. And not only that, I didn't even have a single song out, bro. I don't even know what they were thinking, asking me to be on the tour. Yeah. But I don't know. Yeah, so I did it anyway, and then I came out with this towel, right? And I swung my towel around. And do you know who else swung their towel around in their set? Savage did. Right? So they said, you know what they said? They go, bro, you can't swing your towel around, so you're off the tour. And they kicked me off. Yeah, I was like 20, what have been 23 then? Something like that. So they kicked me off the tour. Yeah. And it went down. That's why, people that know me, that know where I've come from and where I'm at now, people are like, that's why people are like, bro, you're killing it. Because, man, I've been through some rough times. And I didn't even know what kind of set I would have been doing back then. It would have been like 15 minutes or 20 minutes or so. Looking at the way that we do things now, and in retrospect, looking at the way we did things back then, I didn't know what I was up to, man. But I did it. It was an experience, and I wouldn't take it back for the world. But yeah, I got kicked off that one. It was crack up. Yeah, I lost my voice. I was like, on the way to the next show, spraying that stuff that you do on your I don't know if it's gonna come back, hey. And I got on stage and I was like, yo, give me that. And I had no voice, bro. Because we were going to every show, we were going, boom, and then we'll go to the after party and there'd just be, the bar tab would be astronomical, bro. I think the bar tab in Dunedin, which was at 3 Beers, the after party, I think it was like $5,000 or something.
Yeah.
And they just didn't even care. They were just like, yes, go hard. And so there was a lot of shit going down on that tour that, yeah, it was interesting anyway. But there was one person in particular, and I don't mind talking about this, that was a real creep on that tour, and that's Patriarch. And then later on from what are they called? Patriarch and Nemesis. No Artificial Flat. No, that's Taz. Anyway, fast forward, he was the guy that was behind Illegal Music.
Yep.
Yeah. And then he was the guy that got done for, he went to jail for R-wording that girl about 2-3 years ago, 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So he was a real creep on the tour. So I always knew he was a creep, and now he's out. Now he's just going around commenting on people's stuff. I'm like, bro, yeah. Anyway, why are you getting controversy on your podcast? Bro? I don't fuck with that shit anyway. Everyone knows that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so crazy times back then, bro. Like straight up.
Yeah.
But all those challenges in there obviously build into your story, and give you experience. To experience something like that back in the day had to be awesome, especially for how young you were as an artist.
Yeah, I don't remember a lot of it, bro. Like we did some crazy shit, man. Like open for Mobb Deep, open for Busta Rhymes, open for Bone Thugs,
right?
Fucking Guru from Gangstar before he died. Like fucking everyone,
that's
bro.
Massive,
Yeah.
bro.
Yeah, and like I always say about the internationals, like the funniest story ever was when we opened for Busta Rhymes in Dunedin. Halfway through the set, now I'm going to say this before I say the story. Busta Rhymes has the best live delivery I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Like that guy can rap his ass off. Spliff Star is the best right-hand man ever that I've ever seen live. I've seen a lot of rappers live. Busta Rhymes is the best, right?
Yeah.
But halfway through this set, they did a song called Pasta Gavassier. You heard that song? Pasta Gavassier. It's produced by Pharrell. Huge song back in our day. And during this song...
Isn't it Puff Daddy?
Pharrell. Pasta Gavassier, isn't it?
Puff Daddy's on
isn't
the
it
tune.
in ERD, isn't it? Oh, maybe you're right. Pasta Gavassier.
Puff
It
Daddy's
sounds
on
like
the tune.
dun, dun, dun. Sounds like the keys sound like.
Carry on and on.
My fact check guy over here. So halfway through his set, they do pasta. You know what Cavassier is, right?
Yeah.
It's like Hennessy sort of, but it's a little bit stronger. And anyway, if you ever drank Cavassier, if you drank it straight, you're going to be that guy at the end of the night trying to fight people. I don't know. I feel like, yeah, maybe. I don't know. Maybe it's... Hey?
What was that?
Cavassier.
Do they still sell it?
Why not?
I don't know. I haven't seen it anywhere.
Because of the story I'm about to tell? Nah. But it's the type of shit that you drink, like, it's the type of shit my mates who used to be hustlers used to buy just to look cool at the party.
Yeah.
They'll drink it, they'll come out in the driveway and then get all their shit stolen, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's that type of drink. It's terrible. You shouldn't drink it. Unless you're, like, people hold it up in videos and look cool, whatever, if you're into that shit. But anyway, so...
Yeah, bro. So, both of them.
Oh, yeah? So
Sean Combs and Pharrell Williams.
Oh, yeah. See?
Songwriters.
Yeah. So we're both right. There you go. So halfway through this set, they're killing it, bro. Halfway through the set, they do Pasta Cavassier, right? Busta Rhymes pulls out this bottle of Cavassier and he starts sculling it straight. And we're like, bro, he's going to die, G. Like, everyone knows that what happens... Even the biggest, hardest of the OGs drink that shit. They comb it out of the driveway, give them their stomach pump later on in the fucking, in the emergency unit. And so he skulls it and we're like, nah, no way. And he does another 45 minutes of the set, right? Wow. Kills it. So after the set, me and Infrared and it's DJ Dan, this fella from Dunedin, we go backstage and we're like, fuck, we want to meet Busta Rhymes, you know? Because at the time when he did the show, he was popping, you know? And it's like hardly ever when a rapper was really killing it in the States, do they come here?
It was after the Genesis album, mate.
Yep.
That tune was new.
I feel like it was the Extinction Level Event album. Oh, no, Genesis, you're right.
That, because I remember he did Break Your Neck,
yes.
and he went a cappella.
And killed it.
Yeah.
And so we went out the backstage, tried to meet him. The security guard, nah, you just can't meet him. And they're like, oh, we walked on stage to go back to get out. And we seen the bottle of Cavassier there and it was finished. And we ran up and we're like, bro, this is a mean, like, keepsake, you know?
Yeah.
Went up and grabbed it and I sniffed it and I was like,
water.
and I was like, put a little bit on my tongue and I was like, bro, that's fucking apple juice. And that's the day that I knew. That's the day that I found out what the fucking show business is really all
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, yo, okay, I see the little hustle here. I can go around. He's going around the world acting like he's like this guy that can scull a whole bottle of Cavassier on stage, but really it's apple juice. So I was like, props to Busta Rhymes. That's fine. Another funny thing that happened, to segue off into another funny story. Should I tell this story being that they're coming here soon? Who cares? It's all good. It's not even that bad, but my first ever international show was opening for Cypress Hill at the town hall. My mum came actually. My mum and her wife came, and they were up in the seated area up top, and she's like, going crazy because she's a registered nurse and there's all these people just smoking weed.
But you know, the thing that would make her go crazy these days about it is not the weed itself, but the fact the lack of hygiene and the sharing. The passing of saliva. The sharing of saliva between hundreds of people.
Oh, that's facts. That's actual facts too.
Yeah.
You should be like, oh my God, he's not wearing a mask. No. And so, so we did the show. Man, honestly, like just saying again, like, I don't know what songs I was doing. I don't know what I was up to. All I know is that we did a remix of Cameron's Welcome to New York City, but we did Welcome to Canterbury. Anyway, we did this after party, right? And we never called it the official Cypress Hill after party, but back then we had the run of All By One, remember? So we just did a gig. Like the bros were DJing, we were drinking, and Cypress Hill.
I want to say that they were on the flyer or something though.
They weren't, bro. They weren't. Really? I swear, we would never do that, bro. You just know that you'd never do that. What, we put like official Cypress Hill after party?
No. I thought I remembered there being a picture of them on the flyer. Like
that'd be crazy.
It was a black and white paper flyer, right?
Yeah, it was a black and white paper flyer. There wasn't no Cypress Hill on there.
Okay.
And so,
he just doesn't want to get
as far as I can remember, you could be right. You've got a better memory than me, to be honest. But anyway, they came in to the club, Cypress Hill did, and they were like, hold up, is this the official after party? You better pay us for having the official after party. And we're like, what the fuck? So one of our bros, Dan, DJ Demand, Dan Robson, homie, fucking OG from way back, super tough cunt too. Oh shit, sorry.
You're
can
right,
I say?
bro, you can
super tough cunt too. Like, you know, I've seen him annihilate some ball heads one time. Like, he's the man. Anyway. So Sendog comes in, and there was this dude back then that used to go out with Kaylee that's on My FM. She's even on My FM or Flavor or whatever. His name was DJ Disrupt or Disaster or some shit like that. He was from Cali, and he was the biggest eat-ass ever, bro. He just put his man, he's like, yo, hey, man, I'm from Cali. We don't do it. Man, that shit don't fly where I come from, you know what I'm saying? I don't know how he sound like a New York guy. I don't know how they talk in Cali. Like, he was a Latino from Cali, but he thought he was the man because he was coming to New Zealand, and he was from America, and you're not from America, so you don't know enough about it. You don't know as much as he does. Yeah. And so he came and he goes, hey, man, you guys trying to be doing this, Cypress Hill after party. You owe us some money. And like, my bro Damam was like, fuck you, can't sell. Fuck, come in here trying to start some shit out. And starts to get into them, trying to have a rumble. Anyway, there's this fella back then, DJ, his name was Uncle Dan. Anyone who's listening that knows who Uncle Dan is. He had grey cornbraids. But whenever American rappers used to come over, he used to be their tour manager. Yeah. And so me, him, Infrared, the duty manager from All By One and one of the owners from All By One went upstairs and we had this meeting, and he goes, hey, you got to give us $5,000 right now. Otherwise, we're going to take you to court and shit. And I was just like, I was so young back then, I don't know what I would have said nothing probably. I would have been too like, fuck 'em all, Yeah. And had no money. I'd be like, yeah, give him the money. I'm not trying to like perpetuate that I was like a hard out back then. I was like, well, shit, But I was like, just sort of, I was there when it happened, and I witnessed them giving them the money as well, and they gave them the money out the safe. Wow. And then we got to go on with the rest of the party. And
did they hang around?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Did they stick around?
I feel like they might have for a minute. I do remember one of their not Be Real, but someone else pulled the plug out from the decks. Wow. And Dan goes, bro, touch those fucking decks again, bro. Wrap them around your fucking American face. And I'll never forget that because that was like the funniest shit that happened. And we were just cracking up for years after that. Whenever I see Dan, I'm like, bro, fuck this fella, wrap those turntables around your head, bro. He was just a true blue Māori, like I love Dan. He's the man. And, but yeah, just crazy. Another crazy story, man, from back then.
Yeah, that's far.
Yeah. Super, super crazy times back then. Do you want to hear one more?
Bro, have you got it, bro? If you want to tell it.
When we did, so Guru, you know who Guru was, right?
Yeah.
From Gangsta.
Yeah.
So when Guru sort of veered off from Premiere, he started doing some shit with this guy named, what was his name, bro? He was real toxic, remember? And he was making Guru diss Jay-Z and shit like that. Do you remember that period? And they dropped that they dropped that record together, like a whole album, and it was him and I can't remember his name, but anyway, he was the one that came with Guru. They played at Ministry. Yeah, they played at Ministry. I hosted it, and then there was like my bro Saeed opened for him. They're from Dunedin. Shout out Saeed, and then also Infrared Phil
Sticky.
Yeah, there was a whole bunch of cats on it, which was real dope, and it was amazing to be. Like to get to see that. That's one of those ones that you're like, thank God I got to see that. Even though he was in a real weird place, Guru was, still though, he's still an absolute legend, and it was just such a time. Like when they dropped full clip, it was like, it was like, fuck, crazy. But anyway, afterwards, somehow we got ourselves into a position where Guru and this guy, wish I could remember his name, they're like, hey, where's the chicken spot at? And we're like, KFC's just up the road. We ended up, me, like Jay Rocha, X, all the Crushers cats ended up going to KFC with Guru, right? He turns around to my friend, I won't say her name, but he turns around to my friend and goes, hey yo, shorty, I'll tell you what, show me them titties, and I'll buy you whatever you want on the menu. She goes, okay then, bro. Boom, flashes, and then he goes, I have a party pack. And so we all sitting there eating this chicken, and Guru's like, yo, this New Zealand place is mad crazy, man. It was so funny that she did it. She was just like, boom. And she was like, oh, the party pack. It was like the $48 one too. Yeah. So I was like, I think it was like 16 pieces of chicken or some shit. I was like, yeah, gee, we on. I was just going in there to get a thick shake, bro, like the 90-cent one, 99-cent one. But yeah, so that was another crazy one.
You just wouldn't hear stories like that though these days, you know. Nobody.
You get cancelled.
Yeah, you just would not hear stories like that these days. Yeah.
Oh, the rate of like really, really like just terrible shit that you used to hear stories about of artists coming to New Zealand and like groupies and stuff is real bad.
Oh, yeah.
I know a couple of ones that I could just never repeat because they've gone through like legal process and that. But like there's been some pretty bad ones, to be honest. Casey and JoJo was one of the worst, to be honest.
Hey, one thing
I went to the concert.
Hey.
I went to the Boys to Boys to Men concert.
Did you go to the Christchurch one?
The one in Christchurch at the town
hall. Did you know
hall.
they brought the chick on stage? Do you remember that?
I was like so young, and we were right at the front, and I nearly like passed out, and I remember Haven's like, ugh. Sean from Boys to Men, he actually like leant down and like passed me a bottle because he was like, are you okay? Like I was this little girl in this crowd of people.
So was it all ages?
Yeah, it was all ages.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was all ages.
But it was still super risky. Bro.
Yeah,
like,
and because Casey and JoJo, they like we not like they were
I remember, just to go back to Guru, he went to his own after party.
Yeah, he did
at Home Bar.
Yeah, Home Bar. Yeah,
and just went around saying what's up to people.
Yeah, he was super cool.
He wasn't there for ages, but it was cool that he came and hung out for a bit.
It's like we went to bars in Wellington. Him, Lute, and there was a DJ Nazarite, and they came over from Dreamville when they were in Wellington. And
did you say Lute?
Yeah.
Oh, I love his stuff.
And so straight after their set, they all came out. And
do you know Haven's claim to fame?
What?
Haven, you were still at school then, were you? Or were you just out of school?
No, he was out of school.
Oh, yeah. Haven went to J. Cole and got put on the big screen for knowing all the words to, it was like
Lights,
something
please.
off his...
It was Lights, Please, yeah.
Was it? Yeah.
That's
did he
fire.
pass you the mic or something?
Nah. They just had the camera on me for a minute.
What song was
it? But he
shouted
shouted...
Lights, Please?
Oh, yeah. Turn out
But
the lights.
he knew all the words, and you got a shout out, didn't you?
Yeah. Called me his big homie, bro.
Yeah.
Oh! Bro, J. Cole's the man, geez.
And everyone, it was so funny out in Auckland. Everyone after the show, like, was coming up to Haven and like, can we get a picture with you? Haven, that was like the highlight of his night. And then we went out to the clubs as well. And do you know like Outrageous Fortune and stuff?
Yeah.
So you know, like off West Side Falani.
Yeah.
Well, he came up to Haven after the show because we were like looking, and Haven's like, is that Falani? And then he was like looking at Haven like, is that the guy that was rapping at J. Cole? And then they both were like, can we get a picture? Like at the same time. That was so like funny. The highlight.
I love David Funny's the man. The skits.
Yeah.
Yeah, he used to dress up. It was him and that other dude that Oh man, he's a legend.
Oh no, it wasn't Dave Foley. It was the one from Westside. They plays the younger version.
The one, the younger version one.
Yeah, he's a rapper too, eh?
Yeah,
bro. Yeah. I seen him recently actually when I was in up in Auckland with Pucks doing the.
He does a lot of the youth stuff as well.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. He's a man. He's a good actor too, man.
Yeah.
Cracker. Oh, bro, I love Outrageous Fortune Westside. That's my shit. Straight up.
That's what I grew up on, bro. It was
Outrageous Fortune. Outrageous, bro. Hell yeah. That's super underrated, I feel like, in terms of New Zealand TV, anyway. It's got to be the greatest, though, I feel.
Yeah.
So going into this new album, well, it's not new anymore. It's been out for, close to a year?
Yeah, like 9 months.
9 months?
Yeah.
Going into that, how did that come about? Was it a project you've been looking at doing for a while? Was it something that pushed you into doing it?
So I just had a whole bunch of songs. I guess that the album really started, the project started as Underground King 2.
Yeah.
And so it was going to be like a second EP. And then I had Neverland. We dropped Neverland with Summer Thieves. And then that sort of like took me off into a different trajectory. So I'd been like local hip hop. And then it was like, suddenly I do the song with Summer Thieves. And then I was getting like noticed from a different direction. So I was like, okay, cool. This could kind of work. So, then after that I dropped Back Up with Big Kid and then Revolutionaries. So by the time Revolutionaries came around, me and Tiki had sort of like left behind the idea of doing Underground King 2 because we were like, oh shit, we had all these other tracks as well. Like we had like half of Trauma, we had like half of Brave, we had heaps of unfinished stuff that I thought, oh man, like, I've always had this idea that I wanted to do like a full length album that was like more like a body of work. Yep. So like something you could sit down and listen to from like track 1 through to track 10. And it had like we told a whole bunch of different stories that all like ultimately came to a, crescendo almost, I suppose you could say, at the top, which was The Student. So, I guess after we left behind the idea of doing that, the album itself, went through a lot of different name changes. So it went from, Underground King 2, and then I was like, nah. And then I had this idea to call it Good as Gold. So I was going to call it Good as Gold for a while. And then it was like, nah. And I had this title track for that. I was like, nah. So from the first lockdown through to when it was finished, started last year, we'd already released 4 singles. So we had Neverland, then Back Up, then Revolutionaries, and then...
Trauma?
No. What was the fourth one?
Truth.
Truth. Yeah, Truth, obviously. Yeah. And so I went through like the 4 singles, and then by the time I dropped Truth, I feel like me and Ben had made The Student, and I'd started to do stuff with the band. So it was like, how the hell am I going to finish this album? And I had nothing to finish it. I had nothing to start it. And then when I went and played at Soundsplash with Infectious, we went up to Tiki's quickly because it was just in Sunsplash is in Hamilton and Tiki was just in the Mount. And I quickly did this just a couple of hours session, and we got the intro, which is called Misunderstood. Is it Stormy Intro? Sorry.
Stormy Intro.
Far out. It's been so long since I've listened to that album. It sounds bad, but so when we got Stormy Intro when we were there, and then did a couple of other demos. But once I got Stormy Intro, I knew that The Student was going to be the last song. Yep. And so I finally had this project. And so the only thing that I feel like, looking back at it, that makes it what it is the order of the songs. And so the actual curation and the placement of each track and how it rolls into the next one and stuff. And so, I think I was round at my mate's breaking up a fight between him and his missus, a physical fight. And this is a friend that I'm not down with anymore, but he's just going through rehab and stuff. But I was over there and we were listening there, and like things had finally calmed down, and then Juicy came on, and I was just sitting there and I was like, fuck, what an intense situation. Then it was like, stereotypes of a black male misunderstood. And I was like, stereotypes of a black male misunderstood. And I was like, stereotypes of a Polynesian misunderstood. And that's how I got the name.
Yeah.
So I just came up with that. I was like, a take on Biggie, which was like an early influence for me, obviously. Him and Puck, and then
hold on. I just got to interrupt here because what you didn't see is when I said that Biggie was in my top 5, he pulled a really funny face.
He did.
I was saying about Biggie because he's not in my top 5.
Yeah.
But he was still an early influence. But the reason why he's not in my top 5 is not to go off on a tangent. Because he only has one. He only has one album.
He's got
see the silence there. People didn't really consider that, did they?
Yeah, but he's
got
how good is that one album though?
Yeah, it's amazing. But it ain't like, how can we compare him to someone like Drake who's had 13 albums?
Okay.
You know? People are going to hate me, haters going to hate, it's okay. You don't have the education, go listen to some Drizzy, homie. In fact, if you want to like take your girl on a date, go listen to some Drizzy, you know what I'm saying? I bet you it's a great soundtrack for that. Anyway, so going back to my album. So I wanted to, like, to be honest, bro, if I'm being honest, I wanted to let a lot of shit go and then not talk about it ever again.
Yeah.
And so that's what that album's about. It's about me going, that's the last time I'm going to talk about that. That's the last time I'm going to talk about that. Because going back to what I was saying earlier about being a tortured artist is, when you're in this mindset of like, fucking nobody likes my shit, nobody's booking me, everyone hates on me, you constantly talk about the same shit, which is the industry hates me, everybody's full of shit, blah, blah, blah. It's all just some like hater shit, and you're just projecting it out into the universe, right? So I wanted to, for one last time, just project my thoughts and feelings about this particular part of my life where I was a fucking drug addict, drug dealer, everything, and then just go, boom, finished.
Yeah.
I'm done with it now.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to talk about that shit anymore. I want to talk about the music, but I don't want to talk about the same shit that I talked about in those songs.
Yeah.
Like, and a lot of that shit is like pretty, it's a hundies, bro. Like, it's about as real as it gets about my life between 2010 and 2018, pretty much. No, 2008 and 2018, pretty much, which was just a crazy time, bro. Like, crazy time. Like, just, going from having a really good upbringing and having good friends around me to going through one relationship that just set me on a spiral down into fucking, doing drugs and fucking trying to be in the streets when I wasn't really even raised like that,
Yeah.
But because my cousin was in the streets and because my homies were in the streets, it was like, yeah, let's do this. And then after the earthquake, it was like fucking getting on the crack and then like fucking going crazy, doing crime, getting a fucking criminal record, all this, being on the run from the cops for fucking 4 years, all that sort of shit. So going through all of that, and then ultimately coming to a point where I lost everything, bro. Like my family, my relationship, I wasn't seeing my daughter and shit. And then it was like, bro, get your fucking shit together, And so through Matt Brown and that, I found out about like what trauma was. Yeah. And I was like, shit, trauma. I felt attacked at first when I first heard about it because I felt like I was being judged, Yeah. I felt like, fuck, these motherfuckers think they know about me. They don't know shit about
Yeah.
And so a lot of males would probably agree that it was easy to feel quite attacked by that concept, the concept of healing your childhood trauma.
Yeah.
And I've been on this journey ever since then, and just been trying to figure out exactly where it is or, exactly what it is about myself that my trauma affected, or how it manifested in my everyday life. Mm-hmm. And it was just buzzy shit, bro, like not being able to tell the truth or being dishonest or fucking cheating on my partners or just all that sort of shit, bro. Yeah. And it was because there was a part of me that was just sitting there and it was unresolved, Yeah. And so the thing about healing and being on that journey is, and anyone will tell you this that's actually on it, not people that perpetrate that they are or perpetuate that they are, is that it's an everyday process. Mm-hmm. It's an everyday journey. It's like, it doesn't happen overnight. In fact, you never actually stop healing.
You're always learning.
You're always healing from something, And as a parent, I feel like my primary goal, and I know that I share this with my daughter's mum, is to make sure that she lives a life with the most childhood trauma or maybe even zero.
Yeah.
And we've achieved that so far just by being present and by working together well. Yeah. And that's something that I attribute to, if someone was to ask me, how has your life changed since you've been on this healing journey? I would say, you look at my daughter and see how happy she is. Yeah. That's how I've changed. Yeah. Because there was a time where there was a version of me that wouldn't have been able to be as present as a father. Yeah. But bro, you just you don't get to miss weeks. Yeah. You don't get to not be there. Yeah. You don't get to, if your kids don't live with you full time and you get a specific amount of time per week, you turn up, you do it. You don't miss, you don't call in sick. There's no sick days. Yeah. So all that sort of shit is like a tribute to who I am as a person today. And like, I usually use that as I always say that my daughter is my redemption. Yeah. Not music. Music is whatever, it's creative, but if all this was to go away tomorrow, I'll just be happy to be a dad. Yeah. And that's real talk. Yeah. Like, I'll just be happy to be a dad, bro. All this shit, it doesn't really matter to me, yeah. people talk about fame and success and that, but like my measure of success is like being able to sit there with my baby girl and get down to her level and actually play with her and like understand her as an individual and as a human being and as a little girl, and for her to love me and reciprocate the love that I give her.
Yep.
Everything else that we do in music, like we're about to play a festival next week, 35,000 people sold out. It doesn't really, it's whatever. Yeah. I'm glad to be doing what I love with my homies. Yeah. You know, me and this guy, we've known each other for so long. It's like we're both on the same, we both have the same frame of thinking, I feel, when it comes to that. And especially being parents. I take a lot of examples from him as a parent, and, you know, like even Tiki, bro, it's great. He's always been a great, I don't want to say role model, but he's just been a great person to look at and go, oh man, I hope to be as calm as that one day.
Yeah. Like an example.
He's an example.
He's an example.
He's just really calm all the time. And even dealing with Rachel, who's my best friend, that's his wife. She's one of my closest homies. And like, you know, even she would proudly say that she's a little bit out the gate from time to time, you know. Like she's like that. And the way that he has handled those situations, that's a you know, just to have that inner peace and like just that that sense of calm is something to really look up to and say, fuck yeah, that's the kind of parent I want to be, you know. Yeah. And so yeah, first and foremost for me these days is family. Back in those days, it used to be just selfish, all about myself. Yeah. You know, then you become a parent and you realize that there's just a whole other person you have to care for, or in Ben's case, these whole other two people, or three people if you include Sarah, you know. So
don't forget Muggsy as well.
I am Muggsy, yeah. I feel like Muggsy would survive though.
Muggsy?
Nah. Muggsy, yeah. So yeah, that's, you know, like, yeah. One thing I'll say, bro, is that like there's a lot of cats out there that like they talk about the streets and shit like that, but they don't really know nothing, bro, like straight up. And you can tell when people are fake. And like I see it all the time, especially in the music. They talk about it, talk this and that, whatever. But an OG told me a long time ago, he said, those who know don't say, and those who say don't know. Yeah. And that's the truth. I would never go into detail about the shit that I've been through because it would probably either incriminate me or other people. Yep. Yeah. You know, but I just say that I've been there. I've seen it. I've seen the worst shit that you can possibly imagine. But I came out the other side okay. So there's hope for everyone, bro. Yeah. You know, even if you're deep in the fucking depths of fucking methamphetamine addiction, bro, you can crack out of that shit. You know, all you need is to change your environment, bro, because it's all environmental.
It is.
People think that it's about yourself. Yeah, it does start here, but then it ends with the people that you associate with. Mm-hmm. So unless you take yourself out of the environment, it doesn't matter how long you've been clean for, bro. Yeah. You'll go back to it eventually. It's just a ticking time bomb, bro. Yeah. So my advice to anyone out there that's struggling with addiction or anything like that is to remove yourself from the environment. Even if it means you got to move cities, make new friends, get a new job, whatever, take yourself out of the environment if you really want to live a healthier lifestyle, because that shit ain't no good for you. Yeah. 100%. And I've seen it ruin families. You know, and it's almost like cliche to say that shit now, but it's for real, bro. Like it actually does that shit, man. Sends brothers to jail. 53% of the total population of men in jail right now is Māori. Yeah. So
it's even higher for women.
It's like 60, it is. Yeah. It's way higher for women, bro. Yeah. 64. Crazy. So keeping that shit in mind, like, you know, they're out there trying to lock us up, bro. Yeah. Like, you know, the war on drugs is real. The Sexual Surveillance Act is real. The Crimes Act is real. The fucking Misuse of Drugs Act is real. All that shit is designed to lock us up because they know that, like, in terms of where we come from and our generational trauma, that they have a higher chance of locking us up over everyone else because of where we come from, because of the environments that we're raised in. Yeah. Yeah. So you can't let them have the pleasure of doing that shit because you know they love it. And when I say they, you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah. So the Student's your last track on there, and it's featuring Nazarite and Boomtown. Yeah. Who's local artists. How did you two end up clicking up together? Was it through Ben? Because I know, like...
Yeah, so we were putting together a band for that Summer Sounds Festival. Yep. And...
2021? 2020.
21?
21 was the first one.
Yeah. No, well, yeah. So...
Yeah, that's right.
And we kind of had the set, like, we sort of had, like, maybe half an hour or 40 of kind of, like, reggae stuff, and then we had started putting together this medley, and what it really needed was an MC. And so at the time I was trying to convince the promoter to book Lucas anyway. And then when they decided to book Lucas, I was like, right, let's get him to jump up on our set. And basically it was the making of it. And it was kind of just a one-off thing at first. But while the boys were around, it was funny because like before the festival, there was like this boat trip that was gonna in the sounds, and it was basically like a big piss trip for like the artists and stuff.
Yep.
And we were gonna go, and then there wasn't gonna be enough room for the young guys in our band, and so we were like, oh fuck that, if they're not.
So they really just wanted me and Ben to go, pretty much.
Yeah, and we were just like, nah, if they're not invited, we're not going. Like all for one and one for all. Yeah. And so instead, like the boys just came around to mine, and Lucas had heard this beat and had an idea for 2 verses, and he didn't have a hook yet. And then we had Jonty and Theo. So Jonty went to Marlborough Boys. Jonty's Iron Boss.
Yeah.
And Theo Hertzig, who's his homie from Wellington Jazz School. They were kind of just having a jam over it. And Kieran, who's our drummer, heard this bit. And he was like, oh, can you guys play that again? And just kind of directed them into this, what became the hook of the tune with the horns. And then Lucas was like, oh, should I write a 3rd verse for it? Wasn't really sure. And then we just got the boys to kind of jam over it, like just going backwards and forwards. Yep. And they basically just nailed it. And we were like,
killed
okay,
it, bro.
so it's
one take, wasn't it?
Basically, I think it was.
Yeah.
And I think it's obviously I'm biased, but I think it works really well as an outro, the way it just kind of they play it out. And they're just so talented. Like it's actually crazy. On the way here, I was showing Lucas and my daughter Nesta. I found this video on my phone from 2013. Yep. I filmed Jonty playing trumpet outside the band rotunda in the middle of Blenheim, busking.
Yep. He's like a little kid, bro. He's like 7 years old. 10 years old. Crazy. Oh. And that's why, like, when we do, it's funny, we do these solos at the end of our set, and I always introduce him as the child prodigy. Yeah. And that's the proof, right?
Yeah. Bro, he's playing Black Orpheus in it, which is like this kind of bossa tune, and he's just like killing it. Because I remember, like, me and Sarah hearing him, we were outside Ritual, and we heard it from down the street, and I did not expect it to be a kid. And it was like, man, this guy is good, not like comma for a kid.
Yeah.
Like just straight up.
He is just straight up good, bro? Yeah.
And his dad was sitting in the car supervising.
Frank,
shout out to Frank. And so, I found that last night actually, and I was just like, I was blown away because Sarah and I had the memory, but I didn't actually remember that I'd filmed it on my phone. And I was looking in my phone because it's actually the anniversary tomorrow of the passing of Mark Rainbird.
Yeah.
And I'd typed, you know how you can search in your photos?
Yeah.
So I typed Mark into the photo search, and so I was looking at all my photos of Mark, and it also pulled up Market.
Oh,
and so that was why it popped up. And so it was actually quite crazy thinking, like, you know, coming full circle, I guess, to now that we're in a band together with John T. So it's really cool because I always felt like that he was, I'm gonna, like, because you're here, I'm gonna have to say second after Kapahaka. The highlight of the prize giving was always John T's solo and the jazz combo.
Yeah.
You know, it was like one of the things that I really enjoyed about prize giving. So I was like, oh, fuck, that trumpet kid's going to play again, man.
That's crazy to think we're in a band with him now, eh?
Bro, I actually didn't realise how young they were. We were at Summer Sounds this year, and we were sitting there watching Dolphin Friendly, and I was like, yeah, because you guys are, what, like 24? And he's like, bro, I'm 20. And I was like, oh, so you're the youngest? And he's
insane.
Like, no, I'm not. They're all 20.
That's how our band works, bro. That's why our band works so well. There's 4 members over 35 and 4 members under 35.
Yeah. Well, 4 members under 21.
Yeah, it's 4 members under 21. Just to say about the student as well is that once that was sort of, it was sort of like a track, and I was like, oh, what the fuck, you know, what are we even going to call this? And I remember thinking to myself that my verses in the student champagne for my real friends, real pain for my sham ones. That whole verse is about the times that I've just told you about.
Yeah.
Thinking back to the days when I had none, sick of telling everyone the reason that I can't come. Like, that was about telling my family that why I can't go to family things and that because I was too busy in the streets, like out on the drugs and shit. You know, talking about packing everything in a bag, like all that sort of shit was like my life. So those two verses are about my education. So that's why. And then Ben's a teacher, and then all those 4 boys are students.
Yeah.
So we're like, there was just this real vibe of like educational school, and I was like, the student like has no, you know. And if you actually listen to what you were saying before about the rollout, if you listen to the student to the end, you can hear me laugh at the end, and that's my last laugh. Yeah. Like on the album, that's like.
Remember, I made a big deal about.
He.
Like, you know, he would have been looking at the stems and seen that one, you know, had silence for however long and chopped off the end. I was like, bro, you got to find the laugh.
Yeah. Because Seki did the first mix of it, and then we're like, oh, is there a laugh on the end? He's like, oh, that's what that blank track is.
Yeah.
And we just wanted to be on there, like having the last laugh.
Having the last laugh.
Because, bro, like, you know, to sort of like give you a bit of context, like the whole time I've been in this shit, I've been slept on crazy, bro, for like my whole entire time. I feel like I've just been slept on heavy.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've done shit here and there and that, but like the industry's never really shown me any love. My perspective on that now is I feel like I don't care about it much anymore. One thing that when I came back after giving up for 3 years was like, fuck, let's just get rid of all the expectations of people's like adoration for me, you know. Like who gives a shit about that? As long as I'm making music with people that I just enjoy it, and let's just enjoy the process and trust the process. And like, yeah, we can celebrate wins in that, but like really, like ultimately what it comes down to is getting to do this at this part of my life is like giving me a new lease on life. You know, it's like, it's crazy, man. It's super crazy.
And one thing that like I don't think I've even said this in front of Lucas, but one thing is like I never really pinned my hopes on the track being on the album until the day the album came out, because this guy's like mad reactionary. Like we'll record a tune and he'll be like, bro, this is the one. This tune is like this tune is like the best tune we've ever done, and then 2 days later he'll be like, no, I hate that tune. No, fuck that tune. So when he was like, yeah, this is going on the album, I was like, okay, cool. If it does, then that's me. But like, you know, don't get like,
you didn't get your hopes up.
No, hold up. But we dropped it as a single after the album came out, eh?
No, it was before.
Yeah,
it was
so
before.
shut up then. You're shit.
Until then, no, you know, when I was like, okay, you know, that's definitely happening was when you paid Otis.
Yeah,
to get the artwork.
Yeah, because you know, the guy who did the artwork is
Otis Frizzell.
Otis Frizzell. Otis is MC. You won't know this, but there's a group back in the day called MC OJ and Rhythm Slave. But Otis Frizzell's.
I know them through the
for the
DJ
podcast.
Severe.
Oh yeah, for the podcast.
Bro, do you remember their TV show?
Yeah, bro, hard.
They went to Jamaica. They went to Jamaica in the last episode,
bro, and they were two white guys.
All these like dancehall MCs.
Having Mark today, Slave, yeah. So how I met Otis was I met Otis at Tiki's wedding, and we'd been going back and forth online, and I was like, man, I'm like to these guys, when it comes to these guys, same with Shefu, hey, we're like, no shit, it's Otis Frizzell. This is crazy. He was in Once a Warriors G. You know, he was the guy at the start of Once a Warriors that gets knocked out of the chair. The second Once a Warriors on What Becomes of the Broken Hearted. Remember Jack puts the money up on the thing? Yeah. And then he gets knocked. Yeah, that's him. Anyway, so we'd been talking and we just had this bromance going on because he's the man. I just love Otis is the man. Yeah. And I was like, should I just shoot my shot, eh? And I just hit him up and I go, bro, what do you reckon? I know that you do like he does commissions for massive like Saatchi and shit. His dad is Dick Frizzell, so his dad did the, what is it? The Mickey to Tiki. Have you ever seen that? No. And it's like a morph between Mickey Mouse and the Tiki.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that's his dad, bro.
Yeah.
So his dad is like a internationally renowned painter.
Yeah.
And so, artist. And so I hit him up and he goes, yeah, man, I'll do it. Like, he's like, what's your budget like? And I go, bro, it's like sweet fuck all, bro. That's whatever you want it to be, bro, but it's sweet fuck all. He goes, we'll just do it for like, whatever. And we're like, okay, sweet. And then he comes back with the student cover, which is like just a picture of a 1B5 on a desk. So that desk belonged to Jan Hyragel, and it actually was signed so when it wasn't Jan. Jane Hyrigel owned it, but who was the big rock and roll person that he told us? They came to New Zealand and they bought that disc of Jan Hyrigel, and before they bought it, he got to take a photo of it, and he's had it for like a decade, the photo, and he's never got to use it. Oh, wow. And then he was like, finally, we got a chance to use this. It was perfect. And he had the 1B5, put the scribble on it. It was crazy. So, and then for ages, it was like toying around with like, should we do a music video? Boom. And I was like, nah, this is what we're going to do, bro. We're going to do a live, like a tiny desk type vibe.
Yeah, that's exactly what you get from there too.
Yeah.
You're sitting in front of the microphone, you get a tiny desk vibe.
Yeah, for sure, eh? And so we had rehearsal one weekend in Picton, eh? And we had this grand idea to do it. We'd thought about doing it heaps, and it'd always fall through, eh? And then one rehearsal weekend, the lighting was just right. Everything was right. Sarah was there. She shot most of it, eh? Everything just fell into place, and it was just perfect. And then we had the two boys on either side of me, and it was like, what am I gonna fucking wear? You know? And Matt Brown's wife, Sarah, from My Father's Barber, she had sent me this website. Matt had worn this jacket at one of the things they went to. He's the type of guy that would wear a jacket once, get a photo with it, and never wear it again, you know? Yeah. And I was like, where'd you get that jacket from? That's crazy. I was just into fur coats and shit. And then she goes, I got it from here, but I'm not going to tell you. Okay. Unless you ask. You got to ask nicely. Nah. Anyway, this website where they do fur coats, like faux fur coats for big men, for brothers. Yeah. And I was like, boom, got it, and it arrived like 2 days before we were going to do the shoot. And I sat in this chair and I put it on. And I was like, yeah. This is me.
I feel like it was cold too.
It was cold.
Good time to wear it because you brought it to something recently, in summer, and you're like, I'm going to wear it. No, it was a different fur coat.
No, it was my black one.
Yeah, and you're like, I'm going to wear this tonight. I'm like, fuck mean, bro. I'll be wearing basketball shorts. And
a fucking t-shirt. Yeah. I always have grand schemes of fashion-wise, you know. And I bought it to the yard. I was going to wear it at the yard bar. Yeah, my black one anyway. And so, when we did that sort of tiny desk vibe video, I feel like that's when I figured out that our niche was not going to be music videos, even though we made a mean video for the student, but our niche was going to be live content.
Yeah.
And so since then, we've been able to, I guess, get our name out there predominantly, even though we're still on this building trajectory, like we've been able to get our name out there through the live content.
Yeah.
And,
but I think like one thing that's is sort of satisfying, and like, you know, like you don't get the same quality all the time as if you use professionals, you know, like if we're going to do a video with Keelan Walker, so because you know, even though actually, just to go back, you were saying, you know, how you haven't been getting a lot of love from the industry, at least last year some things changed because we got New Zealand on air funding for a new song and the touring grant
and we got booked for, you know, we got heaps more bookings coming through. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But anyway, like being able to do all that stuff in-house means that, like, it's, you know, stressful at times and stuff like that, but like you get so much out of it because you learn so much each time you do it, and you invariably look back and go, oh shit, I wish I'd, you know, change this about it based on what I know now or whatever. But you learn so much for doing it, and being able to do something like that in-house is kind of cool. It's like, actually, you know what, fuck it, if we're not gonna get support all the time, then you just we're just going to do it. And that's like something like with making music, even like, you know, the dream of doing it as a living, you know, is always cool, but at the same time the primary driver for me is like just being able to create something and put it out there.
Hell yeah.
Because when I, you know, grew up, and even still now, like listening to music that just makes you feel a certain way, I don't look at it and go, oh, how big was this song or something like that. You know, it's that dream of someone hearing something you created and feeling the same way you felt, like when you made it. You know, like when I first heard Electric Relaxation or something like that. You know, there was like special, like it's the dream of being able to produce something like that. That makes, even if it's not to, you know, thousands or millions of people, if it's something that like sits with someone in that same way, then that's and
I think that's our big edge as well, bro. Our huge edge is that we don't got to rely on anyone. Like everyone we work with are all our homies. You know, and even now, even now, like Sarah and Ben have anything you see visually, it's all Sarah, it's all Ben pretty much, like with the editing and that, and Sarah as well. But like we're even looking for ways now where we can do flyers in house.
Yeah.
So we don't it's just so we don't have to pay that little overhead, you know? And so we can say what it comes down to at the end of the day is it's just like a whānau thing, like, you know, we don't have to rely on anyone else to do anything for us.
And you don't have to wait around for people to do it because you can just do it.
That's actual facts.
Yeah.
And we're pretty lucky to have achieved what we did last year and then come into this year and, you know, have finished the tour already and just be like, what's next?
Yeah.
You know, and we've got the plans for next pretty much already in process.
Yeah.
You know, so then it's like, you know, then by the time that's finished, it's like ready for summer again.
Yeah.
And then we're ready to go again.
Yeah.
And I just feel like this trajectory that we're on at the moment, it's like, it's pretty immovable. Like I don't think it can be stopped, to be honest. And anyone that's looked at how far we've come in the last year would probably agree. But I think that the biggest enemies to that progress at the moment is just us.
Yeah.
So as long as we just continue to keep this culture, keep this vibe about like our unit and our team, I just think it's going to be all good.
Yeah.
You know?
I think as well we're pretty lucky, like I feel pretty lucky like with the band, like
hell yeah.
I'm like I actually, you know, admire all the musicians in the band.
Yeah, same.
And also like them as people.
Yeah.
So, you know, like,
so hard.
it's a pretty, like...
Oh, that's hard, bro.
You know, because I remember being in bands at school, you know, doing music at school, and often it was one or the other wasn't there. Yeah. You know, so you might be like, oh, bro, that fucking drummer, man.
He's so good, but he's such a cunt.
Yeah. Or, you know, but so, or the opposite, you're like, oh, you know, man, that guy's really letting us down on that.
Yeah.
And so to be... with our band, you know, I worry about being that guy because the other musicians are so fucking
I worry
good.
about it way more than you do because I don't want there to be any kind of diva shit in the band, you know? And sometimes I got to be like, don't say that to myself, you know, because there is parts of things that sometimes it works out where like, you know, we've all got to take the equal amount of sacrifice. And I love that. I actually love that because it puts us all on the same level. And like, that's what I always try to say is like, you know, that whole never above, never below, always beside is like so true. Like, and it works for us.
Like our guitarist, Mark Smith from Picton. Yeah. Like shout out to Mark. Like he's the sort of dude where I watch him play and I'm like, holy fuck. This guy's a badass. Yeah. And then I'm moving house and he's got a fucked shoulder and he still shows up and he's like, trying to, you know, helping lifting couches into a trailer and shit like that. You know, so it's like...
Yeah, I watch him when I watch your YouTube playthroughs and shit, and I'm watching him on the guitar, bro, and I'm...
Yeah, he's that guy, bro.
Mesmerised by his playing, bro.
Yeah, and then, you know, Emil's got this craziest voice and he's like one of the humblest dudes I've ever met. And
he's so humble, it's like, it's so endearing, to be honest.
Can't wait till he comes on. Him and Luke are going to do a live performance of their song Visions.
Ooh. Yeah, cool.
So it's going to be cool.
It's good we combo, eh? But yeah, man. We're just it's a good time. It's a good place to be where we're at. And
Emil's got a tune unreleased with Lucas that like there's this couple of lines that he hits in it that
very Shafu.
Yeah, give me these like to be specific Shafu vibe or something.
Is it on your phone, eh?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. It's called Gone by Morning, yeah. It's crazy, bro.
Man,
it's crazy. When something's this crazy, you gotta use this voice, you know what I
mean? Big ups to you fellas. He's doing massive things at the moment. I've loved watching it from the start, you know, watching from those first gigs with you being and doing all that shit and then joining up with Big Sima and how it's all grown and seeing how much success you've had over this past year. I just wish you all the success for the future too.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you so much.
Fucking massive. And I appreciate you for coming on the podcast too.
Anytime, bro.
It's been awesome.
It's all love.
Yeah. Love to have you again.
Yeah. Bro, I appreciate the fact that, you know, when my first teaching job, you know, was with you.
Yeah.
And just being able to like, you know, sit here with you now is like, it's crazy because, you know, it's one of the things that keeps me doing that job is those connections you make with people, and so happy to see, like, you know, to see people move on from school as well and be doing awesome things and see them, more importantly, being like really good humans. Is that's the sort of thing that keeps you going, you know, when you have those days where you just feel like, you know, throat punching. Like,
why the fuck do I do this?
Yeah, shout out to Zach Stevens.
He told me about that guy. That's pretty crazy,
He's a different kind of animal.
Animal, I like the use of that. Yeah. But oh, hey man, thanks heaps for having us, and keep doing what you're doing, bro. Like, I see it, and I listen to your show with the guy from the Fallon Show.
Oh yeah,
that guy's the man, bro.
He's the man, bro.
Yeah, and like, you know, just the detail in that was amazing, and I think that, you know, you keep going with this stuff, bro. It's amazing. Good on you.
Yeah, there must be some credits you can get from this.
Eventually,
working on it.
Actually, I talk about you though at my current school because I've just started the Te Waharoa course in Kaiako. And I'm like, the kids always say, like, so how many credits can you get from this course, you know? And I'm like you're the limit. Yeah. You know, it's not like a set amount with that course. Like, you finish something, I'm going to give you something else to do. And I'm like, yeah, so when I first started this course, boys, there was these 2 kids. and they got 70 credits over 2 years just from this one course. And that was you and Zach.
Yeah. Wow, Zach can't have been that bad if he was
he was smart.
Yeah.
But he was smart in all the wrong places.
And you know what else I use that as an example from? Remember Shitstain McLean was going to kick you out of school.
Yeah.
And he came Haven and Zach came to my classroom with this leaving card. And they're like, oh, you've got to sign this. We're being kicked out. And I was like, what do you mean you're being kicked out? And he's like, yeah, Shitstain McLean says we're out of here. And I'm like, he can't do that. And you guys are like, what do you mean? I was like, have you been before the board? No. Well, that's the only way you can get kicked out of school. And you're like, real? And you go outside and you ring Harata. And you're like, Harata, Matua Ben says he can't do that. And then, you know, you guys ended up getting level 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yo,
and you
shout
know
out
what?
to level 3, baby. Let's go.
Level 3.
Yeah, and you know what? Shitstain McLean never looked at me the same after that.
True.
No, he didn't.
Is he still there?
No.
We had a few teachers like that. We had the food tech teacher too tried to kick us out because we were talking in her class of it was just stupid shit. We were talking about, imagine if you could break eyebrow bones.
I think you can, bro.
I knew it was going to be that or some stupid shit like, bro, who would run in a race out of the Flash and Superman?
Yeah.
I mean, she was just fucking off us anyway, and we ended up having to go up against like the deans and shit. And, when I told my mum, fuck, she wanted to kill me herself. But she was trying to get, because we were the first multi-peer supporters at school.
Oh, what?
And she was trying to get those badges stripped off us. But the other multi teacher that was there at the time, she stood up for us too. And,
yeah.
Everyone knows the education system's backwards anyway.
Yeah.
I'd like to throw that. That's a hot take. That's a hot take right there.
That story was giving Lethal Weapon, hand in your badge. You're a loose cannon, Haven.
That's all. Thanks for having us, man. Appreciate you.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
So that's been another episode of That's My Cousin. As always, you can follow us on Instagram at That's My Cousin. Follow the Hush Podcast Network also on Instagram. Big shout out to Big Sima and DJ Nazarite for coming on. You can find Stereotypes of a Polynesian Misunderstood on all major platforms at the moment. You can follow DJ Nazarite at DJ Nazarite on Instagram, and you can follow Big Sima at Big Sima 2K23 on Instagram. Also give Boomtown a follow on Insta. Local boys doing big things. That's another episode. Shout out to Bays for helping me host this week. Get in, get out, and share it among your friends. Like, rate, review. Help us out as much as we can. Appreciate all the love, and thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in for another week. Yo!
The place I was born be the land of the soldier. Ported away surrounds Polynesian culture. Lava jams with the young skin fade. Pinch members on the block trying to make that pay. But now I never do the thing. Rolling on the east side, that we ride. Sing a few beers that we sitting by the seaside. What you really know about that? Rolling up the green, you can smell it from my clothes. Kick it with the fam, small circle of bros. Slap each other's hands, man, you already know. Mike Red Gang, we back still in the show. Do it on a daily, bro, I know you hate me. Have a listen, maybe I can change your point of view. Popping out the bottle, now you better make it too. Gotta let them know, east to west, how we do, why and two.
I got love for my hood, my hood. I hold it down for my hood.